Come on in, let's go. Yeah! Let's go! Alright, okay. Alright, okay.
Hi guys, welcome to this week's episode of Sweet Spot Sexy. Today we are talking about how you will never have to diet ever again. I don't like the word diet. Anybody who works with me knows that I think that's a dirty word. And the reason is because when you think about diets, the connotation that you have typically is that you have to give up some sort of food, that there are going to be things that you love that you're not going to be able to eat, that you have to cut back. There's just all these different things that basically put you in a position where you're not able to sustain that eating style for a long period of time, which means it creates a roller coaster, because when you're on the diet and you're eating as prescribed by whatever you're on, then you lose weight, you look great, and then the minute you stop and you go back to your other eating habits, then you go back to the physique you had prior to the diet, which obviously nobody wants to be on this roller coaster up and down. So the way that you're going to keep yourself from ever having to be on a diet, never ever have to diet again, or use that dirty D word, is by thinking of food differently. You want to eat clean. A lot of people say that, and people are like, well, what does that mean? It just means eliminating or minimizing the processed foods that you have. It doesn't mean you're going to ever get away from processed foods fully. I don't think there's many people on the planet who've managed to do that. And sometimes you just wind up in a bind, so that's fine. But you minimize that and you add more whole foods, incorporate more whole foods in what you eat day to day. And what I'm getting ready to share with you is something that I learned from Chalene Johnson, so I can't take full credit or any credit for this. I'm just going to share it with you. And that's first tip is that you want to think of your food the same way you think about traffic lights. You see a traffic light, if you see the green light, you know that means go for it. If you see the yellow light, it means you approach with caution. You might slow down, you might stop depending on your distance. If you see a red light, you stop. But every now and then, anyone who drives, there is some points in life where you have run a red light at least once, and you pray to God that nothing hits you as you cross. So that's how we're going to think about our food. The most nutritious foods that are nutrient dense, that are low in calorie, we're going to think of those as the green light foods, and you can eat those basically without really thinking about it. So those are things, and you got to create your own list. This is what would be on my list. You know, those for me are things like grilled fish and broccoli and quinoa and any kind of fruits and vegetables. My Shakeology goes in that list. So anything that I consider that's high in nutrients. Things that are in my yellow zone are foods that I approach with caution. They're not bad, they're just maybe less nutrients, or there might be things that I wouldn't necessarily have every day. So for me, my cheeses go in that space because they're healthy fats, but I probably could, approach them with caution and watch my portions. For me, I like Nutella, so that goes in the yellow because it's a little bit heavy on the sugar side. Smoothies, so different things. For me, frozen yogurt goes in that category because I can't just have it by itself. I kind of pile it up with other things. So all of that is my yellow category. Those are foods that they're not bad, but they're not the most nutrients either. And then on my red list, I have things like pizza and cake and ice cream. I love ice cream. I love the Snickers ice cream bar, so that goes on my red list. And it doesn't mean I never eat those things. It just means I approach them with caution. So when you think about food in this way, and trust me, your list will change, then it makes it so that you never have to diet, and you just, you try to stay in the green as much as possible. You only run red lights every now and then, maybe for a birthday or a holiday. And when you get to the yellow foods, you approach them with caution, you watch your portions. Portions is very important as well. That's another way that you will not have to diet, so that's your second tip. Very, very important. I measure everything. I've been eating clean or eating in this kind of style for the last 4 years, and I still measure everything. Not all the time, but I do like a check-in. I do a quality check, if you will. So I measure everything. I have measuring cups, I have the little teaspoon, tablespoons, I have a scale to weigh my meat and make sure I'm doing 6 ounces of whatever lean meat that I'm eating. And I measure all of that stuff. Every now and then I can eyeball it and I can say, okay, this looks like a cup of leafy green vegetables because I'm used to seeing it. So every now and then I can eyeball it, but for the most part, I measure everything, and that's again how I make sure that I'm eating in the right portions. Too much of anything, even if it's healthy foods, can lead to undesirable effects in your physique. So again, we want to measure these things out. And particularly when I measure the most is when I'm working towards a specific goal. Like right now I'm training for competition, so I'm measuring everything. I'm not taking any chances on trying to eyeball just to make sure that I'm getting exactly what I think I'm getting. When I'm not training for competition and I'm just, you know, doing my own little, just staying healthy day-to-day thing, then I will sometimes eyeball, and that's fine. Last thing, affirmations. This is my third tip for you. I think affirmations are really helpful, especially when you're trying to make a change in your diet. This has been a long process for me of being able to eat clean consistently. And like I said, when I'm on the road, I'll have a burger sometimes and not think twice. I'll have a slice of pizza sometimes and not think twice. But when I need to focus and I'm working towards something, like right now, I'm taking my body to a level that I've never taken it to, I have little affirmations, and I have a food affirmation that I use when I'm craving junk. And my current one is, I honor my body by providing it with foods that are the most nutrients, that have the most nutrients and give me the most energy so that my body can perform at its optimum. That's it. And I say that when I'm looking for something that's junk or I want garbage, I say that to myself, and then I'll walk my butt in the kitchen and I go pick something healthy instead, because I've reminded myself. It gives me a chance to recenter and refocus. So I highly recommend using affirmations. I use them for my workouts too sometimes, or when I'm feeling like I don't have energy. You hear me on my tape say that sometimes, something like I'm strong or who's strong or whatever. Or I say good girl. I kind of coach myself. If you've never used affirmations before, it can be challenging to come up with your own. That one I just stated is one I came up with on my own, but I also use affirmation cards. So this is a set that I bought from Amazon. I think it cost me all of like, I don't know, $3 or something. And sometimes I'll use ones out of here, and they're really good for any area of life, but I use them a lot when I'm trying to reach a goal, just to help me stay focused on that. So those are my 3 tips, my things for how you can never, just give up the whole concept of dieting, and you just work at your own pace is the last thing I'm going to say. Like I said, it took me 2 years to give up white bread. It took me about 3 years to give up white sugar. It took me a whole 4 years, if we count, to give up sugar altogether. Like, I don't buy it in my house, I don't have it, but I worked with myself and I was patient with myself to allow myself to have the changes over time and not try to go cold turkey. And I also base my changes on as my knowledge changed. The more I learn about food and what's in certain things and the different chemicals that are in processed foods and how the body responds to those, the more I learn, then the more my perspective changes. In addition to learning about that from a kind of educational, academic standpoint, I also learn how it makes my body feel. I pay attention to that. And so when I know I want my body to be energized, the days that I'm struggling to get out of bed, those are usually the mornings after a day or two that I haven't had enough vegetables. And I know that about myself, so I make sure that I get my vegetables. So the more you pay attention to yourself and learn, you will get to a place where you can make these changes over time. So your green list might look very different than mine. You might have lean cuisine and hot pockets in there. Lean pockets, that's fine. Just start somewhere and reevaluate your list every few months. This is a little bit longer tape than I usually do, but I just wanted to make sure you had that information. Be patient with yourselves. You're going to do great. If you follow this guide and just keep checking in with yourself, you're going to do wonderful. So that's all I have. I will see you guys next week. Thank you so much for your time. If you need daily tips, you know where to find me on Facebook. My like page is facebook.com/sweetspotsexy. Say that 5 times fast. I will see you guys next week.
Do it, you do it, you're doing it well.